send them off to kill them en masse. Just wipe them out. That's what Hitler wanted to do. There wouldn't be one single Jew left on the face of the earth. Well, this is this kind of racism where you single out certain people for either mistreatment or extermination. And that is radical injustice, right? Radical injustice. Now, you see why it's important that it not just be a matter of our private opinions about this, but what do Catholics think about these things? If in the 1930s, to take just one example, there was some very, very hard to do it, opposition to Hitler. Some of the Catholic bishops at various times, not many of them, but some of them with great courage, spoke out against this treatment of the Jews and some of the other measures that Hitler did in the name of the church. And Pope Pius XI wrote a letter in German that was snuck into the country, and he had it read at all the masses, and the Nazis considered that the greatest offense, the biggest danger they'd had. They spoke out against this in the name of the church. Well, the church, in terms of abortion, for example, has unceasingly opposed the policies of our government, and always will, because this is a part of our faith, is to protect innocent life. And there's the question of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. As you get older, all of you here are going to face these questions. You can be sure you are. Right front and center. You're going to run up against this in your life, and you're going to have to decide what you're going to do about it. Are you going to accept this kind of injustice and just step back and let it happen? Or are you going to stand for life? Are you going to stand against racism? Or are you just going to let it go? See? This is where the gifts of the Spirit start to really take flesh, so to speak. Because if we just sit back and let these things happen, then what kind of people are we? What kind of people are we? If we can allow people to be sacrificed, the innocent and the defenseless, to be sacrificed for our own prosperity or pleasure or happiness, what kind of people, what kind of a nation are we? And can we expect God to bless us if we do? That's the question that I would say gets put here by the question of social justice. That there's many other issues that come into play. It's social justice, there's the whole question of poverty and massive poverty and how best to address that. That's it's a much more involved and complicated question, but it's a very important one. And there's a lot of things that the church teaching has to say about that too. And the whole question of war is another question that has to do with social justice. And there's a teaching of the church that has to do with the evaluation of warfare. You see, all these things are, if each of us is left to ourselves to decide these things, then it's not good for man to be alone. Not good for man to be alone. And we need to draw on the strength that comes from God to know how best to address these questions. So that's when these questions obviously are not questions for third graders. These are adult questions, and they're questions that are right there at play in the world right today, and you're going to face them very, very without any doubt as you get older. Huh? So now's the time to kind of really try to get your thinking straight on it, it seems to me.